Have you ever felt like, I don't know, like reality is just a tad much? Like someone hit the complexity button and cranked it up way too high. Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting from all this Ramanuja stuff you sent over.
It's definitely some heady stuff, no doubt about that. But you know what? It's also surprisingly relatable.
Oh, good. That's reassuring because we are talking about some pretty major concepts here, right? The nature of reality, the existence of God, what it means to be a conscious individual.
Oh, absolutely. Those are some big questions for
Hmm.
sure. But you see, that's what makes Ramanuja so fascinating. He had this way of tackling these huge, almost unthinkable concepts and somehow making them feel grounded, which is probably why his philosophy still speaks to people even after all these centuries.
Okay, so before we get to all the really mind-bending stuff, let's set the stage a bit, give our listeners some context. Who is Ramanuja and what was the world like back then?
All right, so picture this. 11th century India, a vibrant mix of ideas and different cultures, right? This is a time when philosophical debate wasn't just some niche interest. It was like the Super Bowl of intellectual life.
Uh-huh. I love that analogy. Okay, so Ramanuja wasn't just some random philosopher. He was a major player in this world.
Oh, absolutely. He was challenging the status quo, going up against a major school of thought within Hinduism called Vedanta, specifically Advaita Vedanta. And let me tell you, he wasn't afraid of a little philosophical sparring.
And what was it about Advaita Vedanta that really rubbed him the wrong way?
Well, one of their central ideas was that the world is an illusion, that only Brahman, this ultimate reality, is truly real.
So everything we see, feel, experience, just a big cosmic mirage.
Pretty much, yeah. And Ramanuja was like, wait a minute. If everything's just an illusion, then what's the point of all this? Why are we even having this philosophical argument right now? Do our experiences, our actions, do they mean nothing?
I mean, good point. So he's saying that the world is real, and therefore our experiences, the things that make us us,
Right.
those matter too.
Exactly. And that's a really key idea to grasp as we start to dig into his philosophy, which he called Vishishtadvaita.
Vishishtadvaita. I'm going to need you to repeat that one a few more times.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a mouthful. It means qualified non-dualism,
Mm.
but don't let that scare you off. Basically, it boils down to this. There is one ultimate reality, Brahman, but it's not some kind of boring, undifferentiated blob.
So not like a giant cosmic marshmallow?
Nope, definitely not.
Yeah.
Imagine like a giant, magnificent tapestry. Brahman is the thread running through it all, connecting everything. But the tapestry itself, it's got all these incredible details and variations. Those are the world and us, individual souls, all woven together.
Okay, I think I see where he's going with this. It's like he's saying, hey, you as an individual, you matter. Your experiences matter, even though we're all part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And that right there, that distinction, it's huge. It's at the heart of what makes Ramanuja's philosophy so unique.
Uh,
The world is real, not an illusion. And in this grand tapestry of existence, each individual thread, each soul, it has its own role to play.
so we're all part of this incredible tapestry connected by Brahman. But what's Brahman actually like? I feel like a lot of philosophies, they get kind of vague when they talk about the ultimate reality.
You know, that's what's so refreshing about Ramanuja. He was all about a personal God, a God full of love and compassion,
Yes.
not just some distant, unknowable force.
Okay, so less cosmic watchmaker, more involved parent.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Mm.
He believed that Brahman isn't just this, like the source of the universe, but it's the source of all the good stuff too.
Yeah.
Knowledge, bliss, compassion. Ramanuja called this Saguna Brahman, Brahman with attributes.
Saguna Brahman. Okay. So this idea that Brahman has qualities, like personality traits almost. How did that actually play out, like in how people practice their faith?
Well, for Ramanuja, it changes everything about how we see our relationship to the divine. You see, if Brahman is all those good things, if it's personal, if it's compassionate, then suddenly there's this basis for a real relationship, a loving relationship. It's not just about abstract philosophy anymore. It's about a lived experience of connection.
Which leads us right into this idea of bhakti, right? Tell me more about that.
Bingo. This is where things get really interesting, where Ramanuja's philosophy becomes really down to earth. Bhakti is all about devotion,
Yeah.
cultivating a deep, loving relationship with Vishnu.
Vishnu is, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm keeping all my Sanskrit terms straight.
Of course, no worries. So Vishnu, in Ramanuja's view, is that Saguna Brahman, that ultimate reality imbued with all those amazing qualities, the embodiment of love, compassion, and the force that preserves the universe.
Okay, Got it. So if I'm understanding this right, Ramanuja is saying that connecting with the divine, it's not about like complicated rituals or memorizing a bunch of scriptures. It's about love.
You got it. It's about surrendering to that love,
Hmm.
about making it the center of your life.
Yeah.
And here's the really beautiful part. Ramanuja saw this bhakti, this devotion, as the most direct path to liberation, to moksha.
Wow. So we're not just talking about like intellectual understanding here. We're talking about a real lived experience that can fundamentally change you. What is that kind of transformation? What does that actually feel like for someone who embraces bhakti?
It's like a transformation of consciousness.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's about feeling this incredible connection to something so much bigger than yourself, being enveloped in this like overwhelming love and bliss, but still at the same time being completely uniquely you.
Wow. That's a powerful image. It's like that tapestry analogy again. You're still an individual thread, but you finally understand where you fit in the grand scheme of things.
You got it. And this is one of the big places where Ramanuja differed from some other schools of thought, particularly Advaita Vedanta.
You mentioned earlier that he disagreed with them about the nature of the soul, too. What was that all about?
Right, so in Advaita Vedanta, the idea is that when we achieve liberation, our individual souls, our jivas, they merge back into Brahman. Like imagine droplets of water returning to the ocean. Individuality completely gone kaput.
Okay, so it's like becoming one with everything, but also ceasing to exist as you.
Exactly. But Ramanuja really pushed back against that. He was adamant that our souls are internally distinct.
Even after we achieve moksha.
Even then. See, for Ramanuja, moksha wasn't about dissolving into some kind of cosmic soup. It was about achieving this state of blissful union with Vishnu, of experiencing that love completely and totally, but still, you're still you. You retain your unique identity.
So it's not about losing yourself. It's about, I don't know, maybe discovering your truest self within that connection to the divine.
Now you're getting it. That's a beautiful way to put it. And it really highlights something I think is so crucial to understanding Ramanuja, this deep, abiding value he placed on individual experience, on the unique perspective that each soul brings to the tapestry of reality. He believed that even in liberation, we retain that individuality, and we continue to contribute to the richness and the beauty of existence.
That actually makes his philosophy feel surprisingly, I don't know, modern. Like, in a world that's constantly trying to fit us all into neat little boxes, he's celebrating what makes us unique.
Right. It's really quite radical when you think about it. And that emphasis on individual experience, it wasn't just some abstract idea for him. It was reflected in his writing, too.
Oh, right. The commentaries on all those important Hindu texts, which were, remind me again.
No worries. We're talking about some seriously influential stuff here. The Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita. These are texts that are absolutely central to Hindu thought, and Ramanuja's interpretations, they've shaped how people understand them for centuries.
So he's not just, like, adding his 2 cents here. He's shaping how people understand these core texts for centuries to come. That's some serious influence.
Absolutely. And it goes even deeper than that. Remember those mathas we were talking about?
Yeah.
The ones mentioned in your research?
Yeah, those were those monastic centers he established, right? They were like philosophical hubs.
Exactly. Centers of learning, centers of worship. They were absolutely crucial for spreading his teachings and for keeping this vibrant intellectual and spiritual tradition alive.
So we're talking about a legacy that continues to impact people even today, all these centuries later.
Without a doubt. And it really makes you think about the nature of that impact. You know, if, as Ramanuja believed, Brahman is personal, compassionate, even playful, what does that say about the purpose of this whole grand cosmic drama we find ourselves in?
That is a fantastic question, and one that we're going to have to save for another deep dive. But in the meantime, I think you've given me, and hopefully our listeners, a lot to chew on today. The idea that the world is real, that our experiences matter, that we are all connected by this loving, compassionate Brahman, and that the path to experiencing that connection is through love and devotion. It's a powerful message.
It really is. And I think it speaks to something so fundamental to the human experience, that desire for connection, for meaning, for love. It's all there in Ramanuja's philosophy.
It really is. So to our listeners, if you're ever feeling lost or overwhelmed by the complexities of life, remember Ramanuja's tapestry. You are a vital and valued part of it. And your journey, your unique and irreplaceable journey, it's woven into the very fabric of existence.